All right, welcome everybody. It is February SARS meeting. We have, well, I'll get to that later. First things first. Trivia. What was a foxhole radio? Yes, please.
Can I tell you?
You can. Only if it's right.
It was a foxhole, was a radio made by GIs, allegedly at the front, usually around a piece of wood, using a piece of pencil lead and a Gillette blue blade for detectors. Like a barbed wire for an antenna. Give him the microphone. What do I win?
You win bragging rights.
Me.
That's the high and the low volume's mic.
Uh-oh. CQ.
All right, what's the answer, Jim?
The answer is it was a radio made by GIs, usually around a piece of wood, scrap wood, using a hunk of pencil lead and a Gillette blue blade for a detector, and a handy piece of wire like a barbed wire fence for an antenna.
That is correct.
Yep. And it worked.
Yeah, they worked. I've also seen that they would use safety pins
Yes,
sometimes in
yes.
lieu of
Yep.
the lead. But
Yeah, but the dissimilar materials, there's a coating on a Gillette blue blade that makes it act like
Looks
a
like
semiconductor. And you can buy them, they haven't been made in forever, but they're real expensive. You can buy a pack of like 8 blue blades, but they will cost you.
question? You had a question?
You answered it, I just wanted to have a raise it right up.
Oh, okay.
Because of the similar metals between the graphite and the coating on the blade, you can also use corroded pennies. I've used corroded pennies. They don't work well, but they work. They're working in Sevilla.
What they use for an ear?
You know, it must have been a high impedance earphone. They didn't have crystal earphones in those days, so I don't know.
Actually, I don't know. I need to go look that up.
I mean, you could get the earpiece on telephone. You could always tell when there was a ham in the neighborhood because payphones in that neighborhood were using the earpiece.
No larceny. Not with us. Yes, sir, there you go. All right. Yes, he is correct. That is it. I actually thought about trying to make one not too long ago until I saw the prices of the razor blades.
Well, you know,
Nah.
we should go in on it and we get a pack of them and then a bunch of us will build foxhole radios.
To listen to WSB
Yeah.
on a good day. Right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. There's some out there. Okay, that's right. Got it. All right, the agenda. Minutes. I sent the minutes out on Sunday. Was everyone okay with them? Revisions, edits, work of art? I thought so. Motion to yeah, exactly. Accept it as written. Second. There you go. We'll go through old business, new business, a couple things. So we got an exciting piece of information with that. We'll take a break. Jacob, where are you? Raise your hand. We get to learn about Jacob as Jacob. So he's our member of the month, which is very interesting. We know his technical prowess. Now we get to see, and is that the missus there? So your role is you're like the lie detector. And so if he starts going over here on the scale, you just stand up and go, no. We'll have our first segment. Remember, we were changing our sort of open forum to a project sort of driven conversation. I did not get any emails of anyone who had something to work on, so we'll just assume you're coming in with something to talk about, and if not, well, okay, that's fine too. Show and tell, radios from the 70s. Now, it originally was the 30s. I made an edit, and I covered that last month when we went through the calendar. So there is one radio here from the 1930s. So because of that, and again, I reminded everybody in the email that goes out, what the things are, just because every once in a while things do change. So we do have a radio that's technically not from the 1970s, but I'll look the other way if you all do. So, okay, let's get started. We're up to 108 members on Facebook. That's pretty good. We talked about dues renewal last time, also the need for a treasurer, and Paul went through the result. You did. One of you two did. Results of the little swap we had in December with the test gear, which was highly, highly successful. All right, new business. Our membership dues are standing at 57%, which means 43% haven't paid. Please, if you haven't paid, please pay. We're a pretty inexpensive operation, but as you all know, our insurance is more now than it used to be. Paul did an outstanding job of finding a new service provider because it was going to be really expensive, but it's still more, even with all those efforts, still more than what we paid in years past. So the dues are important, and that's also what goes to to help drive the swap meet, which we'll go into detail in a few minutes. That's never designed to be a money maker, but it does cost the club money, and so we want to make sure that we don't exhaust the coffers because we get designer pizza or something like that, right? So, dues, talk to Mark. And in the vein of membership, Mark has brought name tags. If you're looking for name tags, if you're owed a name tag, they're all laid up there on the table, but check with Mark, and if you are looking for a tag, see if it's there. Okay, this is the exciting news. Eric self-nominated himself to be treasurer. Yay! So Paul and I were actually getting very, very, very worried on what's the actual protocol if we did have somebody get nominated, because obviously he's retiring. He's not, he's done his outstanding job. He's going to retire from that role. I was not comfortable holding multiple roles. I just don't want to go there. But Eric contacted us and said that he wants to be it. So that's good. So what we're going to do is we will go ahead and when we get to that point, we'll have a nomination. We'll have the whole discussion. Unfortunately, he's not here, but I know that we've been in contact with him. Oh, all right. So our treasurer is sneaky. We have to remember that. I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. So we're going to do our thing with him in just a few minutes, if I remember this correctly. Okay. Let's vote for him. Okay. So, well, we got to do it formal like. So he is nominated himself. Is there a motion to accept his nomination? Second, third, fourth. Okay. Motion to vote on said person. All in favor of railroading Eric into being the president, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Excellent. Congratulations, Eric. Now, just a couple of details for everybody to know. He is retiring in May, so he will become effective sometime in May once that his work thing is transitioned out. Exact date he'll give us, but basically, he will become the treasurer official in May. In the meantime, Paul has graciously volunteered to act as the interim treasurer until that time. He's going to work with Eric, get him up to speed on the process, get all the sort of the mechanical stuff behind, because he'll be in a position to write checks, so that information has to go to the bank, yada, yada, yada. So between now and May, Paul and Eric will work on the educational element of it and the mechanics of getting him signed up. But so it's not like he won't be doing anything for the next 3 or 4 months. He's going to be very active, learning the ropes. And again, even after the transition, Paul's still donut man. He's still audio guy. He's not going anywhere. So we have the brain trust, which is really, really good. Because my understanding, I wasn't here at the time, but Paul's predecessor, I guess, passed very unexpectedly, and he had to figure stuff out and didn't know where things were. So he had quite a task on him. And he is personally taking the responsibility of not putting Eric or anyone else in that situation. So I want to give Paul, even though he's still here, a round of applause for his efforts. Even though we're still stuck, I mean, he's still helping us for another few months. So. All right, where am I? Swap meet. Swap meet is April 11th at the Fowler Park. Vendor setup is 8:30, opens to the public at 9 to 3. We will have a contest. We're still finalizing the categories, but we will, like last year, have probably 3 categories and a best of show. There's some over here too, by the way, that we haven't quite finalized what those categories are, but so we'll have contests, ribbons, the whole 9 yards. We'll do that. So we're moving forward on that component. However, related to that, now we need some support to get the ball rolling a little bit. So we had judges last year. Members were judges. So we need some judges for this year. I'd like to get 3 people who would like to judge the contest, right? Dwight did it last year. Jacob did it last year. And David did it last year. So if you'd like to be a judge, just let us know. And you walk around with a little clipboard and you look at stuff and say that's cool and you rank them and then, tally up the numbers. So I'd like to get 3 judges for that. You need to have somebody as the door person. So they basically sit at the front. And it doesn't have to be one person. Multiple people we can cycle through because I want people to be able to enjoy it and not having to work the whole day. But a person, a body at the front, just to welcome people as they come in. We have some of our own promotional stuff about joining the club and these kinds of things. So you kind of become the salesperson, the PR person for the club in that role. And like I said, one person doesn't have to do it all day, a couple hours, break it up. So we're looking for somebody to kind of man the front table. The roaming ticket person, as you know, we do the 50-50 raffles and some of the other things. So they'll go around with the little bucket of tickets, collect the money, hand the tickets out. So we need somebody to do that. That's not a full-time deal. It's kind of, 10 minutes on, 2 hours off kind of a deal. But anyway, looking for somebody to be the Vanna White, please don't wear a dress, and sell tickets. Signage. Now, historically, it was Sam and Mark, I think, normally do the signs and stuff that go up around. I'm going to assume they're still going to do it this time. So that's covered, but technically there is a position that they fill very well for that. But we've got that covered. Unless you want to go out and help them hang signs, I'm sure they could appreciate a couple extra bodies or whatever. Pizza and drinks. It's gotten easier since now we're renting out the kitchen, the ice, and some of the stuff that person would have to sort of coordinate. You don't have to do anymore. But basically the role is to order pizzas that are delivered. You don't pick them up. I think we use Little Caesars. Hopefully we'll have a driver that speaks English because that poor guy got lost. But basically it's ordering the pizzas the day of, running by the store and getting soft drinks and plates and napkins, those little things. But you don't have to deal with ice. That's the beauty because now the ice is there. So we need a pizza person. I did it the first year I was here. Lloyd did it last year. I think you've done it in the past too, right? So we're looking for that. But once the pizza's there and all laid out and the eating starts, I mean, you're off the hook. And it's not a ton of work. It's just, hey, I need 57 pizzas. Deliver me. Right, okay, and now on the presentation, we're still working on the club presentation at the event. There's been discussions, which I think the leadership agrees upon, using this radio astronomy as a topic. Now you think, well, why? Well, it's got radio in it. Can't beat that. And Jim, have you gone? Did you go, or you're yet to go? Saturday. Okay, so Jim is going to a conference, convention, whatever, that radio astronomy is a piece of that. And he was going to kind of hunt out and see if potentially we can nab a speaker from that to do our thing here. Hopefully we can. Could be interesting. I want to see if you can slap a 1931 Philco onto a big satellite dish and get anything. I don't know. Probably not. We could try. But tentatively, that's what we're looking at for the presentation there. Now, if the person's not available or Jim just feels that it's not relevant, because this is not astronomy for the rich. This is astronomy for us thrifty people, right? So it'd be interesting to kind of see, how do you do that, especially in conjunction with the SDR receivers that are out now? How does that potentially work? Might be really cheap and easy to do that nowadays compared to,
Version is audio
yeah,
for VLF.
yeah,
What they ended up doing is just taking a VLF amplifier for a small antenna,
Mhm.
and then actually putting it into an audio amplifier, and it works. That's one version of it.
Yeah.
It's like a poor man's version, but it works exceedingly well.
yeah. I'd have never thought about it till you'd mentioned it. I'm not putting,
I wouldn't have thought about it if I hadn't seen it.
yeah. So,
No, not communication personally.
what do you pick out of the frequency? I don't know what you would pick up. Pulsars, quasars, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, so TBD on that. Hopefully that'll all work out. If it doesn't work out, we'll either have to kind of figure plan B quickly, or there is an option not doing anything. I prefer not to, but if we can't do it, we can't do it. We had a case a couple years ago where there was a gentleman who was going to present and couldn't make it at the last minute, and Jim found a person, and he came and did a whole thing on computer AI graphics. IBM had at the time this little online thing that would make AI graphics, and it was very interesting. Had nothing to do with the radio, but I know you've used it and I've used it. A lot of stuff outside of the club, so it was a good conversation. Any questions on any of this? Concerns, thought? Remember, it's indoors, so if it's rainy, who cares? If it's cold, who cares? It's indoors. The lunch is a donation thing, if you recall, so which always works out pretty well. So if you want to be one of these persons, let any of us know. We'll pencil. No, we're not going to pencil you, and we're going to use a Sharpie to put it there. You can't erase it. So, okay. There will be. We've been waiting to get the contest finalized. And even with the presentation, though I can fudge the presentation by going, shh, big secret, can't tell you yet. But I really want to get those categories. I've already got it built, it's just I got a hole. But once we get those categories finalized for the contest, yes. Yes, and we'll post it on the website and Facebook, and I'll send the PDF out or the JPEG out, so you all can just do whatever. I go and I post it on 3 or 4 Facebook antique radio sites that I'm involved with. I know some of the other ones with the other clubs moving around too. We always get a posting. The gentleman that owns the, the Radio Attic? Yeah, he always posts our thing on his website, which is good too. So anyway, but yes, work in progress. Okay, as we mentioned the first of the year, we were going to kind of morph our open room discussion to have a little more focused discussion, and that was an opportunity for members to present to the club a project or a situation that they're working on and get the club's input on that. As I said, I'd send out an email if anyone wanted to send their idea in early so we all could give it a think on the front end. I didn't get anything, but that's okay. So is anyone working on a project, that one hand, that would like, 2 hands, that would like the club's input? So
I'm working now 750, and it's a real pain. It's real hard to get your fingers in there. Where your tuning capacitor is, there's other caps in there. Got shortwave, absolutely wonderful. Audio section is wonderful, but I don't have broadcast. So if anybody has any insight to that, you don't have to go deep here, but if you got any experience for now, is that well, I think that's where my problem is. It's got the radio chassis on the side, got 4 coils and 3 coils. 2 of them have voltages on them. The other 4 don't. I think they're less tuning coils, but I'm not sure where to test. It's a radio that I'm not familiar with. So yeah. Advancement seems to be working, but I think I'm missing the voltage on it somewhere. not sure, the 7 different oils, and I had, they have aluminum pouch, I had those all off. How about you guys try it?
Yeah, you can lay it by the oscillator section of the, oscillator, the AM section. Lay it near there. Broadcast up there. Close.
You know for sure, do you know for sure that the oscillator is oscillating on the broadcast band?
What Mark was just asking. That's what Mark just asked.
Okay,
Well, he asked him if it
If
was
it's-
oscillating, but it could also be oscillating, but not on the right frequency.
well, that too, but if it's working on shortwave, the IF is all working.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now you've got that much of it understood. Do you have a scope that you can use to see whether or not the oscillator's singing?
I have one, I'll have to check.
That's what you need, that's the first step, because unless the oscillator is working, you're never gonna get anything in there. So that's the next thing to do, is to verify for sure that the oscillator's working. The converter tube should have a pretty high negative voltage on the grid, where the oscillator, if you've got a schematic with a voltage diagram, if the oscillator's working, it ought to have a pretty good negative voltage on the grid of the section of the tube that is the oscillator. If it doesn't have the negative voltage that it's supposed to have, probably, as has been suggested, the oscillator may not be working. The first step would be just to check the continuity of the coil. It could be a Hartley oscillator. What year is it?
Somewhere in the 30s, it says model 750, I'll have to look up the year.
Okay, so it's probably not a Hartley oscillator, so it'll be a 2-coil oscillator transformer, probably. So check the continuity of both of those windings. That's the first place to start. Well, that's a part.
TBKG.
Say what?
TBKG.
Two plates.
Twin grid, yeah. Yeah. Because I don't think the Hartley circuit was used until into the 40s. Or late 30s, something like that.
All right, gives me somewhere to start when I get back.
Nick?
So I foolishly decided to embark on my first actual radio project. It's a Chevy 98708 from Brent's 1955 Bel Air. I just told him I'll try it, and if it doesn't work, it's in no worse condition than it was when we started. So, but the biggest problem I have is that I don't have any frequency reference checked my sine wave generator with, so I need to figure that out. And also, something else I'm now forgetting, so I'll see if I can remember. But I don't.
No, I worked, in the day I worked on dozens of those things. That has the 2 chassis.
Yeah.
You got a chassis that's the tuner, and then you've got the chassis that sits behind the stylized dash on the passenger, in front of the passenger. Presumably you've got, have you got a vibrator that's working?
Yes, I have like a box of 70 radio vibrators, and I know that I don't remember how I got them.
That's a 12-volt 3-pin
Yeah.
unit, yeah, okay. And there's a pair of 12 V6s in there, and then there's a feed from the front end of the receiver. So the first thing to do is just check, go to the grid of an audio stage up in the front end of it and just hit it with a screwdriver and it goes brap, you know that much of it's working. But then you gotta troubleshoot your way through the circuit if it's not behaving properly.
Well, it's never been restored, so I'm currently in the process of replacing all the out-of-spec stuff.
If it's got the original buffer capacitor in the vibrator circuit, you ought to just change that anyway. It's like a .007. If you 1600 volts, something like
That
that?
is scarily accurate, but it is.
Okay, all right. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time fixing those for people.
But I don't know I don't know what to do about the fact that I can't really, can't trust my, signal generator accurately, because I don't have a well, I do. I have a pretty good pattern of signal generator and either of them have been calibrated to go out on, so I'm kind of in a dark. I don't know what to do about that.
It'd be nice to have some kind of frequency standard that you could use to beat against it.
What do you think about that?
Do you have a, you got a tech scope, right?
Yeah, okay,
It's got a square wave generator reference in it, 5 kilohertz?
that's true, that's,
5, usually 5, isn't it?
pretty sure it is.
Yeah, and could be more. Anyway, the point is, there's your reference.
Well, that's good for audio, but I think for RF,
Well, it's a good place to start, if the thing will measure an
it'd
audio.
be nice to have a, cheap project or something with like a 1 megahertz frequency.
Need is an
Yeah.
If you want a frequency, if you want,
Of course, you can always use AM 750 or something like that, broadcast.
well, that means the receiver's working.
Well, yeah,
But the point, if you want an RF signal generator, I can pretty easily supply you with one of those.
I have a Tech 190G that is
Does it work?
the output's a signal. That's all I know.
If it works, it's probably right.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, but these analog dials are like plus or minus,
well, this is a Tech 190, it's got buttons on it, right?
No, that's maybe thinking of the time space reference. This is the regular time.
All right, well, you're on the right track anyway. You need to first be able to get a 455 kilohertz standard, make sure the IF is working, and then work your way back. Try setting it for 455, jam it in the grid of the first IF and see whether or not you get anything out the speaker. What the hell, you know?
That absolves an awful lot.
Yes.
I have this signal generator, I just want to move the property.
What kind of signal generator is it?
Economics 190.
Oh, well,
It
that
has
sounds
the
better than
annoying
mine.
190A thing on the front.
You get some old Lyco or something.
Anyone else? Any other ideas, questions?
Quick question for Paul, when you said it was 12 volt vibrator, I thought they were still 6 volts when you done.
55 Chevy was the first 12 volt. 54 was 6 volts.
They weren't using 262, it was 455.
I'm sorry?
When did they change to 262 versus
I think the 55 Chevy was 455.
I wanted to say as an aside, if we're, as a preview to DIY audio, the very first transistor car radios that Delco made ran a single PNP transistor, I think in class A, and they actually sound very good if you inject an audio signal into it and hook a speaker up to it.
I've talked to your buddy about that.
Yes.
Anyway,
So if anyone wants cheap audio,
Yeah.
go to them.
If you would measure the audio frequency response of that arrangement, you would be disillusioned, let's say.
Challenge accepted.
Anyway,
Well, if you're sitting in a car going down a highway, you don't have to worry about hi-fi,
there's, well,
tire
some
noise,
people,
and
some
road
people
noise.
do. But also, don't forget, when you're dealing with these old car radios, you can build a twin transistor shock AC circuit that's gonna give you the DC that you need. And I used to restore Ford car radios for people who wanted a radio that had all the original bad features. And the point is, you could never get a 6-volt vibrator that was gonna work reliably. And Triad made a line of transformers, the TY99 and 100. If anybody's interested, I could make a presentation on it, but the point is you can use those transformers to build yourself a replacement for the vibrator and the transformer, pot it in a can that was for a vibrator, build it up, and end up with 250 volts DC out of it, and we always called it the Screamer because it oscillated at about 1,000 hertz, and if you put your ear up to it, you could hear it. And that would never fail. And that, the point is, if you tried to restore one of these radios with a real vibrator, you're never going to find one that's going to keep working. So if you get the radio working and the vibrator is working for you, the thing is, if somebody wants to use it in a car restoration, you need to get the TY100 transformer. They give you the circuit and tell you how to build it, right with the transformer. I have some of those transformers and I don't part with them easily.
Well, they do sell a solid state replacement. Where's the website? You sell it?
Yeah, I've used one for old Philco. I mean, an old Zenith farm radio.
The question is whether or not the solid state replacement uses the transformer that's in the radio. And those are not very good for this. The toroidal transformer manufactured specifically for that is what you need to use if you want to get the best results. So I always just pitched ahead when I used that toroid.
Well, Larry said there's a plug-in replacement.
Plug-in
Does the
replacement,
replacement work?
the plug-in replacement, I don't know, has transistors in it that take the chance, yeah. But, I don't know anything about that. I know about, I was at Aircraft Radio when they invented a lot of that circuitry. And so I knew the guys that designed we called it the Dynaverter, that plugged into the back shelf of the radios that went into aircraft.
Well, if somebody's selling a plug-in replacement, that means that it works, right, Harry?
Yep.
The question is
Or the replacement.
how well does it work?
I only know that because I did a radio for a friend of mine who was out of a 49
Yeah,
Chrysler or whatever, and that's what was that. I could never get that vibrator to work.
no,
So I just, in the searches, I found his website, this guy, and yeah, you're just dropped in, and it worked fine.
okay. Well, that's gotta be something new because, of course, when I was doing this was back in the 70s and 80s. I was not aware of another way to do it. At that time, I'm not sure that it was there. But all I know is this circuit that goes around the two wide transformers that are bulletproof.
But most people don't like to design their own circuits.
Well,
They don't want to do it. They don't know how to do it. Especially if I have plug-in replacement.
that's true. On the
QED.
On the other hand, the TY100 gives you the schematic to build it. But the point is, if he's got a good plug-in replacement, it's worth doing.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Aries has it on the computer. Get him to give you the URL that gets you to it.
I would trust that more than a vibrator. I have a problem with the vibrator when the contact's loose shut.
Oh, yeah.
It burns up your transformer.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, it's got the thing here where you just, you put in your year, make, model, and tells all that.
That,
Well, it's a
$59.
5.9?
6.9. 6.9.
This was the,
Doesn't tell you what's in it, does it?
There's a lot of info here. So you'd have to go through all of it. That's how I found it. I was doing that radio with my friend. What am I gonna do with this? And I just doing searches came up on a website. And it could be not this one or another one. But, and this was 6 volts.
Oh, yeah. That's more difficult.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Opinions? All righty. It is now time for show and tell. Radios from 1970 to 1979, not counting the one cathedral that we will deviate for slightly.
No, it was just an interesting radio. About 20 years ago, I helped a widow clean out a lot of her husband's stuff, and that was one of the few radios that she allowed in the living quarters of their house. And after he was gone and she was cleaning stuff out, she said it was one of his favorite radios, and she wanted me to have it. So I accepted it, even though I don't really have any interest in radios like that. But I have gotten it and just kept it for that reason. It says Echoette on the front, and on the back it says Echo Phone. So I think there's 4 tubes in there, yeah. I've never plugged it in or anything, but supposedly it works because that's what he did. He restored them, but it was done a long time ago. Probably in the 70s.
One part of the radio is from the 70s, a capacitor somewhere.
Well, you know, they made all those reproductions for a while. You know, the fake cathedrals. Yeah, all those things. Fake Crosleys.
Somewhere in that age group, 70s. It's an AM/FM TV, and everything was working great up until yesterday. Now the TV doesn't work, so now it's just an AM/FM radio. Yeah, it does light up. Not as bright as it used to, but it does not receive a signal. That's true. Well, I was using it, you know, I have the Roku, and I was feeding it with my Roku or my dot crosshatch meter, you know, and that would work, or a VCR, and I was using it for that to test some equipment. The picture tube is not as bright as it used to be, and it will not receive anything on the TV side. The AM side is okay. So.
It's a Unisonic.
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
I think that was the Watchman. Was it Sinclair had the little one like that too?
Yeah.
You tried it with one of those converters then that the government made everybody buy. It didn't work with that.
No, I mean it was working with my my Roku device, and it was working with my crosshatch generator, and it was working with, of course, my VCR. And
Are they putting out RF or are they just putting out composite video?
yeah, well, I ran it through my 75 ohm, you know, coaxial cable, and then I have a converter on that, you know, to go to a twin lead, and it worked. It was working great. Was till yesterday.
Pass the microphone over here.
Yesterday was Friday the 13th. So. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Hello? Yes, so these are definitely from the 70s, from early 70s. I think the Fabuloids, which is Lloyd's Radio Company, right? Anyhow, so it's the Hipster, and they also made a AM version only that was called the Hippie. And I just was kind of intrigued when I saw that for sale and picked it up. And I say that Austin Powers would have that kind of radio, right? So the Panoped is Panasonic. They came out with multiple colors of these balls or orbs or whatever. And just kind of cool looking radio too. You can show off.
Technically, did these come out in the 60s? Continue to be produced? But since it says Panafed 7,
So what died in it? The line?
Yeah, the line caps are like, that's where the main source was.
Okay.
So I put in a safety cap and I had to do something with the core because it was slipped right at the end.
Right.
So I'll do, get it back here, splice it on, and I got some epoxy, made it damn it, just make it so I can keep the rest of it, so that to the back.
Kind of melted a little bit.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of ripple. There, yeah, right there. It's here. Yeah.
How did you solder and deal with the double-sided circuit board?
I didn't do anything with it, it was fine.
Oh, you do, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just, on the other side where the, because the chassis sits in the middle vertically.
Right.
In that, and so it seems some scorch, but it cleaned off, the carbon cleaned off, just added a gentle with it.
Yeah.
Because that's a circuit board with sockets mounted on it.
and the rest of it to show us that?
All right. So it's 11:08. Does anyone have any other words, thoughts, thinks, questions? Really bad puns? He's ignoring me.
What's the, oh, we got our meeting, swap meet next month.
April, 2 months.
So March, we got one more.
Well, yes, right.
What is the, topic?
All right, as we already know, Jacob, Encore Performance, Speakers for the Common Person. Paul is doing Member of the Month, and he's doing a variation of it. So we're going to learn more about Paul, but part of his presentation and things about him are tied, segue into his work with AT&T. So there's a secondary component there that gets into a little more historical information on AT&T and stuff that was not well known, certainly at the time, if even all. So his is a little bit of a hybrid. So we're going to learn about him, but we're going to learn how, because he was involved, how AT&T evolved in part of what they did. So a little bit different there. His will be a little bit longer, but it'll be very interesting because we got two very interesting topics. Wow, one person there. Next month, Crystal Radios, store-bought, homemade, foxhole, doesn't matter. Bring whatever you got in, and we'll show those off. And I thought there was something else I needed to say, but probably not. Because we are posting these now, obviously we don't post the member component on YouTube, but we do the technical presentations we do put out online. And the beauty about this new section that we're doing with the group input is that now if somebody came down the road and had a similar question. Oh, yeah, we'll get that. They can always look it up. So now we have an archive for this knowledge base as well, for that kind of stuff. So, but again, we record these things, we put them out there. It gets a little traction, which was the plan. We have the club purchase stuff, whatever. I've got some items here I'm getting rid of at a very cheap price because I'm tired of toting them around. We've got tubes, and more tubes. And if you're looking for a tube, we got tubes. So our Aries is taking care of all that. With that, we will see you next month. Oh, yes.
And if you need a tube that's not there, I have tons more. I just can't bring them all, so just email me or whatever, and I can bring them to the March meeting.
Okay. So if you're looking for something that's not there,
I can at least look and see if it's in our inventory.
and these are all club twos, so the profits go to the club. All right. See you all.
Name tags?
The name tags, yes, I mentioned that earlier. If you got a name tag, run by there and see if you've got one there. And you can join the cool kids with the tag. All right, thank you.